Are you a coach that isn't making enough sales as you want in your business? Are you not getting all the calls that you're looking for? Are you getting on calls and you just haven't been able to actually convert people from, oh, I'm somewhat interested to an actual paying client for you? If yes, then this is the exact video that you need to go ahead and be watching. I have helped coaches sell over $10 million online, and I have a proven step-by-step process that we've used to help all of these different coaches get these results. In this video, I'm going to break that entire process step by step down and also share exactly how you can implement this into your business so you can start getting more sales and overall help more people and make more money. Go ahead, let's hop into the video. Today, what we are going to be discussing is how to sell more of your coaching programs. So this is one of the biggest things that I see a lot of coaches facing. Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and do a recap. For those of you who've been here, you guys already know the drill. When you are looking to start a coaching business, this is the order in which it is going to come. You have to first identify who is your ideal client, who are you selling to, and what are their pain points, everything like that. Once you've done that, then you need to identify what are we going to sell this person, aka what is your offer? What are you going to pitch them? What are they going to go through? And what is going to be the entire terms, pricing, format, everything like that. So number one, ideal client. Number two, offer. Once we have that, then we simply have to find a way to go ahead and get that ideal client in front of us. And typically the best way that we go about it is actually through paid ads, running ads on Facebook, YouTube, wherever we please. Of course, there's many different ways that you can go and do that, but those are typically the best ways about it in regards to generating leads, right? So we've identified the ideal client, we've gotten the offer, we've gotten leads now. And now this is one of the biggest things because ultimately these three things are really not extraordinarily difficult to do. You identify who do I want to help? What am I going to help them with? Typically, what am I going to help them with is going to come from validation of what this person's saying that they want. So you're solid on that. And then generating leads, it's fairly simple to go ahead and start launching some Facebook ads. If you are not familiar with how to do that, I have a bunch of stuff inside of the coaching mastermind community that you can go ahead and check out after this. Now, as we get there, it's okay, how do we actually sell these people? How do we convert these people from leads that gave us their name, phone number, email into actual paying clients that come back, that love our stuff, and that will actually generate in me making money with my business rather than not really getting by, which is unfortunately what a lot of coaches do. So today what we're going to be talking about is a couple of things. Number one, we're going to discuss the sales process and how you can have a clear, predictable process that you follow time and time again to make sure that you're able to convert people into paying customers. That's part one. Part two, we're going to talk about the things that you need to do in order to sell more, the foundations of sales. For anybody that is not familiar, I have worked with tons and tons of coaches. The main experience that I had, though, was working with a sales coach. And what I ended up doing is I became a student of his right when he basically started. I then became running a mastermind once a week, and then that became to a part-time sales coach, turned to a full-time sales coach. Okay, so coming back to it, number one, sales process, predictable way. Number two, doing these things to sell more. I was telling you the story about I was working with a sales coach, and I ended up running the delivery team for every single person that was sold, and then the overall operations. And during this 2-year period of us working together, me and my sales mentor, who became essentially a partner as we look to grow this business, we went ahead and sold and taught more than 4,000 salespeople. And from 4,000 salespeople, you really get a strong understanding of, yes, of course, you understand the basic sales tactics, but what are the most important things that you need to do in order to get a person from kind of okay at sales to actually being good without necessarily needing to take a lot of time. Of course, yes, the more time you put and reps you put into it, the better. But as a whole, what are the big things that you can do in order to really skyrocket your skills as a salesperson? So that's going to be part two. And then part three, we're going to go ahead and break down individual businesses, things that you guys are facing, and just give you guys some answers. So part one, going into the sales process. Okay. So the first thing before we actually get into the sales process of what exactly are you going to do, I want to take actually a step back and think what happened before the sales call. Because one of the most important things when it comes to sales, and you'll hear me talk about this as I talk about the foundations in number two, is you have to be a chameleon. You have to understand the person that you are speaking to on the other side and go ahead and match certain things to. I'm not saying be fake. You have to match certain things. I'm going to talk about that more. But in short, though, before you actually get on the sales call, you want to understand, what has this person gone through? Has this person just found out who you are? Has this person been watching your stuff for 6, 12 months, however long it's been? Has this person been in your community? Have they been following along to your emails? Whatever it is, you want to make sure before you're actually getting on a sales call with someone that you're understanding where have they been, what has their journey been like, and how much do they know or not know you. Okay. And that's where the lead nurturing part comes in. Okay. That's one of the most important things that you need to understand within the sales process. Okay. Now, the next part that I'm going to talk about is having a proven system. Okay. And what do I mean by this? You have to think about, if I want to bake a cake and I want it to taste like vanilla and a little bit of lemon, there's some sort of recipe out there that you could follow that gives you a step-by-step instruction. Okay, take 2 cups of sugar, take X amount of flour, whatever it is, and you put it all together. And when you follow the instructions, you get this great tasting cake at the end. Now, if I decided, hey, you know what? No, I don't want to follow the instructions. I want to add 4 times the amount of salt, and I want to make the flour half of what it normally is, then you're not going to get the cake in the outcome that you're looking for. So when it comes to sales, it's something very similar. You have to understand what is a proven system that you can follow over and over and over again, so you get predictability in your results. Because that's one of the biggest things that I notice is a lot of coaches, they just wing it. And don't get me wrong, you can get some success with that. If you're looking to have the most amounts of success, then you need to have a proven step-by-step process that you follow time and time again, so you can have predictability in the outcomes. And you can also understand if there's a hole somewhere within this process, when you have predictability and it's the same thing over and over again, you can then analyze, okay, where's this person falling off? Where am I losing them in the sales call? Where am I losing them in the sales process? And now you can actually go ahead and fix these things instead of just trying to guess what are the things that you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and break down what a typical sale will look like. Okay. So you go ahead, you have a lead or someone that is generated. Okay. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. Ultimately, what the goal is, you're going to want to go ahead and get them on a call. And then from the call, you're going to want to close them. Okay. Now, in between these things, there's a couple of different iterations of what you can have. Okay. So when you have the lead that's generated, as we talked about previously, how much does a person know or not know you? And I also want to highlight 2 things now, like right now, present time, and then go back 5 years, because there's a lot of people that they have a certain methodology that it needs to go a certain way, and that you can just go lead straight into a call, straight into a demo, and then straight into a close. And it can happen, don't get me wrong. I can tell you this much: the industry from now, in comparison to what it was 5 years ago, has changed dramatically. So many people are tainted by the fact of this person promised them this and they didn't deliver on them. You see a enormous amount of ads on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of these places claiming, oh, I can do X, Y, and Z for you. And there's a bad taste in the mouth and overall feeling that the people that are selling online are scammers. Now, ultimately, that's one thing that you're going to have to overcome. So as we're looking at this, and I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this stuff over here, is let's just press, got it. Now, ultimately, once you have the lead, what you're really going to want to do is you're going to want to nurture them, because before somebody buys from you, they need to know, like, and trust you enough to believe that what you're saying is true and that you can really get them to where they want to be. So the way that you can go ahead and do this is, you have them an email. You have them consuming your long form content. That could be on YouTube. That could be in a school community. Inside of also just the long form content that you could house inside of your school community, having something like a school is very helpful, because you're building a community, you're building trust. You're able to get the person to resonate with you, who you are, and everything like that. So these are the things that you can do in between the time that the lead is generated into the time that you're actually getting them onto. We'll call this one just a sales call. Okay. And there's a couple ways that you can go ahead and get them on a sales call. You can go ahead and have it to where it's an auto booking, right? Where as soon as they see the opt-in page, I'm going to go ahead and come here. Let's say they go ahead, they see the opt-in page. There's a little headline. They says join now right here. They go ahead and they do that. You can make it to where they automatically come into another page where there's a calendar, right? Where you could pick time, so on and so forth. And they can go ahead and do that. Now, that's obviously ideal scene if you're not needing to go ahead and speak to a person. It is a much, we'll call it less likelihood as a whole, that people are just going to directly go from being a lead, seeing that, to then go ahead and converting into some sort of booking or something along those lines. So typically the way that you're going to have to go ahead and do it is not as much of an auto booking, but instead what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go ahead and have a person give them a phone call. Okay. So you've gone ahead, you've generated the lead, you then get them inside of your database, wherever it is. And then typically you'll need to go ahead and give them a phone call. Now on that phone call, what it'll typically look like, and this is what you'd call the appointment setting call. Okay. And also I noticed Stephen and Wesley that you guys just jumped in. Nice to have you both here. What we talked about thus far is we kind of gave a highlight into what we're going to be talking about from the sales process, the foundations that we need to do in order to sell more in our businesses. And then we're going to go ahead and do a breakdown of any sort of businesses or questions specifically that you guys have. we talked about the sales process as a whole, right? Understanding the journey that the lead has come before we actually get on the call with them, because one of the most important things is being a chameleon, matching yourself to them. So the more information you have about the client, the better it's going to be for them. And then we also spoke about having a proven system. If we're looking to bake a cake, there's a very clear step-by-step path and instructions and steps that we need to take. And we need to make sure we apply the same philosophy when it comes to sales and everything like that. So breaking it down, once again, we have the lead that's generated. It comes in. There's ways that we can go ahead and nurture this lead to get them to know, like, and trust us more, so that when we get them on a phone call, when we get them on a demo, a sales call to go ahead and close them, they're much more likely to purchase from us. So coming back here though, and I'm going to recap all this because I know I'm going in a bunch of different directions. Coming back here, we talked about the phone call. That's right here. Typically, it comes from a lead being generated. You get their name, phone number, email, and then you have a person go ahead and phone call them to then get them into the sales call. So typically what this is called is the appointment setting call. Okay. And what we want to go ahead and do, because think about it. Anytime you get a phone call from a number that you don't know, at least me, first of all, I typically don't answer it. And then if I do answer, I'm extremely skeptical. I feel like, oh, someone's going to sell me, whatever it is. So the way that we go ahead and combat that when doing this appointment setting call is the very first thing that you want to do. You want to call as if you knew them. Okay. As if you know them, we'll say. Okay. You want to call as if you know them. Now, why is that important? Some people might be, oh, that's sleazy, I don't like that. But here's the thing, psychologically, if you call somebody as if they know them, they don't immediately get their guard up. They don't put this wall because it's a salesperson. So if you go ahead and you call them as if you know them, you have certainty, you have all these different things. It decreases the probability the person puts up a wall and you're actually able to have a conversation with them. So that's part one of it. Okay. Part two on the appointment setting call, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to lead with service. Now, what do I mean by this? Once again, we do not want to get the person's wall up. If you get the wall up, you are fighting against the current. You are behind the 8-ball straight from the get-go on this call. So we call as if we know them, then we lead with service. So what would that look like? Hey, Wesley, how are you? I'm good. Who is this? Yeah, this is Chris from the coaching mastermind community. I went ahead and I saw that you opted in and joined. It looks like about 2 hours ago. Have you had the chance to get in yet? Oh, that's awesome. What made you want to join the community? And obviously I can continue iterating from there. The main reason why we want to go like this is because when you lead with service, once again, the wall of the person does not come up. And another thing too, it can't be disingenuous. One of the most important things, and the reason why I made this coaching mastermind community is so that it could be coaches that genuinely care about getting results for their prospective clients, the people that they work with. Now, ultimately, leading with service is exactly that. This person is here. They either joined our school group, they went ahead and opted in for something, they booked a call, whatever it is, because they're looking to go from where they are now to where they want to be, right? And we can possibly help them do that. And ultimately, regardless of whether we work together or not, we want to try to guide them in that path towards where they want to be. So leading with service is one of the most important things, because not only does it set the frame of, okay, I'm not here just to only go ahead and sell you so the person doesn't put a wall up. Number two, the person is more likely to go ahead and then book on a call with you to actually discuss more about it. So you call as if you know them, then you lead with service, and then you go ahead and transition into, hey, what made you want to sign up for X, Y, and Z? What made you want to join the group? Okay. So you can do what made you, as I'll say. And also, by the way, guys, I know both of you guys are here in the background. Wesley, Steven, any of you guys, if you have any questions, hello, I see that you're in the chat, Steven, hello. If you guys have any sort of questions, feel free to pipe in, whether it be just unmuting yourself or whether it be inside of the chat. But ultimately, appointment setting, calls if you know them, lead with service, and then, hey, what made you want to go ahead and join? And then from there, that's when we're really just diving into the fact-finding questions. Okay, what are the most important things that we need to understand about this person to determine, can we help this person or not get where they want to be? Can we actually guide them in that process? Okay, this could be, do they actually have the pain point? Are they actually in a place where we can help them? Are they our ideal client? Are they financially qualified to go ahead and work with us? Everything like that. So you go ahead, you go through this fact-finding process. And then at the end, what you do, and also another thing too, in this fact-finding process, you also need to understand where are they now, where do they want to be, okay? And to simplify, because I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys, and this is also being recorded so you can go back and review it. If I like to keep things stupid simple, and I'm going to simplify things as we go along. When it comes to fact-finding though, there's a million questions that you can ask that will all depend on the niche. In short, all that you need to remember are 3 things. Number 1, where's the person now? Where do they want to be? And why haven't they gotten there? Those are the 3 most important things. And underneath each one of these, yes, of course, there's specific questions that you're going to want to ask based on your niche. But at a high level, that's what you need to conceptually understand. Where are they now? Where they want to be? How can I maybe guide them? And why haven't they gotten there? What is missing? And how can I be that bridge to get them to that point to where they want to be? That's all that you really need to do inside the fact find. Once you've done that, you then transition and do an if I could, would you statement. Now, what does that mean? If I could go ahead and let's say we're selling a fitness offer that helps people lose weight. Hey, I know you said one of the biggest goals of what you're looking for is, dropping another 30 pounds, feeling sexy again, like feeling good when you're wearing a dress and stuff like that, rather than feeling self-conscious. If I could go ahead and actually get you to lose the 25 pounds and get your confidence back in your body, is that something that you'd be willing to hop on a call and actually have a discussion about us partnering together to do that? Right? That's what it would look like. And essentially what you're doing is not super salesy, because that was one of the biggest things as I was kind of putting this whole thing together. A lot of people get this feeling of, oh, well, if I sell someone, it's going to come off as slimy or sales. It doesn't necessarily need to. It's just like, look, you told me you're here. You want to get here. Like, if I could help you get here, would you be at least open to having a conversation? Like how I might be able to get you here? And that's all that it is. Because once you've done that, assuming you do everything right, assuming you've understood the pain points, and assuming the person's actually real for it, it doesn't really make sense. And one of the lines that I'll go ahead and use if a person gives me trouble is, don't you think it would at least be reasonable to get on a call just to discuss a little bit more about how I might be able to help you get there? Because ultimately, if a person really has a need, a want that is so serious, you're telling me that they wouldn't be willing to get on a call that's 30, 60 minutes long to discuss how they can maybe get there? Because if they really cared about it, they probably would. And so it's ultimately just kind of getting that in the person's head from there. So to recap, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of finish off in this appointment setting section. Okay. Number one, you call as if you know them. You lead with service. Okay. You then transition from that intro part into, okay, so fill me in, like, what made you want to join the community? Oh, that's awesome. How long have you been coaching for? Oh, really? Okay. So you help people stock trading. Like, I'm assuming you stock trade yourself then? Okay, cool. And how long have you been, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been coaching other people? And you start going through, you asking all these questions. Okay, yeah. So like, you're here because you want to grow your coaching business. Like, what aspect of your coaching business? Oh, you don't understand how to go ahead and like sell as much. Oh, you have a bunch of leads. Oh, like, tell me more about it. You ask all these questions, you get to the end, you figure out what their goal is. Hey, so, obviously I know you're doing $10,000 a month right now. You said that your goal is obviously getting to 50. If we could possibly help you get there to that $50,000 a month mark and get consistent revenue coming into your business, is that something that you'd be open to at least hopping on a call and chatting about? Okay, great. And then you go ahead and you then transition to just simply booking the time. It's as simple as that. And this is what the appointment setting process looks like. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and recap the kind of process of what we've had as of right now. Okay. Lead is generated. Okay. We then have a phone call that occurs where we go ahead and do this framework right here, appointment setting. Okay. Once that happens, we then go ahead and we get them on a demo, AKA a sales call. Okay. Now, some people, in place of this phone call, another option that you can do too, because especially if you're making a community, sometimes I still actually recommend, because what's going to happen is that when you get the lead, you're going to have them in your CRM. And I just recommend start dialing people in the same sense, especially if you're doing the school community funnel, which I highly recommend. If you're just texting people, a really great way to get them just on a call with you is just to offer, hey, like, do you want to hop on a call and I can kind of just give you a strategy session to break down everything that's going on. And the beautiful part behind that, it's not salesy. And ultimately, you can just go ahead and give value to a person for 30 minutes, however long it is. And it's not in the fact that you're needing to give the value in expectation that they have to get on a sales call. That's not it. Sometimes I'll get on, of course, that's the idea of seeing, don't get me wrong. But if I get on a strategy call with someone, they decide, no, I don't want it, that's totally fine. I help them. And I really hope that they are continue able to grow their business. The thing is, though, is that if you get on a strategy call with someone and you really provide value, you're able to help guide them and give them clarity about where they are now, where they want to be, and the gaps that they're missing in order to get there. If you do that, there's a very high probability that the person will then go from that into a demo with you, just to have at least a discussion about possibly partnering on them. So these are the two ways that you can go about it. Lead into a phone call using this appointment setting process, or doing some sort of free strategy call with the person, really just seeking to give them value. And then you go ahead and you get them on a sales call. Okay. When you're on the sales call, now this is where the meat and potatoes of everything is. And the stuff I was talking about previously of having a proven step-by-step process. Okay. So the way that I go ahead and I set it up is a 5-step sales process. And also, do me a favor, you guys. I know you guys are here in the background. If you guys are liking this and this is helpful, go ahead and drop a 1 or like a yes for me in the chat, because I just want to make sure that everything is designed around you guys and kind of what you guys are looking for on this. So, okay, perfect. So as we're coming back here, the 5-step sales process, same exact thing like I talked about previously. If we're looking to go ahead and bake a cake, we want to go ahead and make sure that we have consistency in the process of how it's all done. Okay. So step number 1 is going to be the intro. Step number 2 is going to be fact finding. If you notice, very similar to that of the appointment setting. Step number 3 is going to be your presentation. I'm going to explain another word that you can also use for this, but I like presentation, is your demonstration. Step 4 is going to be your test close. And step 5 is going to be your close.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chris. A lot of you leave comments and send DMs to me telling me that you need help. Do me a favor. I'm going to tell you the best way to get a hold of me. Shoot me a text message right now at 949-990-5808. Once again, that's 949-990-5808. I'll help you with whatever you guys need. I got your back. Let's get back to the video.
So I'm going to break each one of these down step by step. So number 1, intro, same exact sort of thing. And also I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I want to make sure I'm kind of coming through on this. Okay. So remember, we're going to talk about number 1, sales process. And then number 2, we're going to go ahead and talk about the foundations. Okay. So I'm going to give you the process right now. And then I'm going to give you the specific things that you really want to make sure you pay attention as you are doing this stuff. So coming back down here. Okay. Step number 1, intro, very, very simple. Okay. You get on the call and you introduce, hey, what's going on, Wesley? How are you? And sometimes, depending on the person, that's the reason why my brain went to this. Remember, you want to be a chameleon, not in the fact that I want you to be fake and not be who you are, but you need to understand the way that I'm going to speak to the 50-year-old Fortune 500 businessman is going to be different than the way I will speak to the 70-year-old grandmother, different than the way I'll speak to the 20-year-old kid, different than the way I'm going to go ahead and speak to the 40-year-old mother that has 2 young kids. I'm going to slightly change the way I communicate, my intonations, all of these different things. And I'm going to go more in depth on that in a second, but that's something that you need to keep in mind. I bring it up because this is also something important inside of the intro. Some people, they love to chit chat and they're not really going to go ahead and want to move forward with you unless they feel comfortable enough that they can trust you, that there's a little bit of rapport. So sometimes this period, I just start talking about random stuff. I'll sometimes comment about what's going on in the back of their Zoom screen. That's why I like Zoom, because it gives you a lot more cards in your hand that you can understand. Number 1, I might start talking about traveling. I might start talking about, oh, where are you calling from, by the way? Oh, no way. You're from there. I know X, Y, and Z from there. Have you ever done that? And you just start having the conversation. Other people, they might be like, look, let's just get down to business. And then from then you go into it. So that's essentially what the intro section is. Okay. You introduce yourself. And then before you kind of start diving into things, you want to make it crystal clear. Like, what's the purpose of you being there and what's the call kind of going to look like? There's 2 ways that you can go about it. Hey, just to kind of give you an overview, the way I typically like to go with these calls, obviously I know we talked previously, just want to dive a little bit deeper into, your business, what you're facing, what you're really looking to achieve from there. Assuming it's kind of within the realm of something, me and my team could help you with, then what we'll do is I'll kind of share a little bit more about, what we do, how we might be able to help you. And then obviously, then from there, we can go ahead and talk about if this is something that we'd like to move forward with. Okay. That's one direction that you could go. That's a little bit of a softer approach. Okay. The approach, and that's what I started off doing, because it just in general, that's what I started off doing. Now what it is, and because especially in today's environment, like I told you, there's so many slimy salespeople or marketers that promise this, but then they don't go ahead and deliver on it. And people that are also disingenuous. They say it's going to be a value call, but then they get really hard sold, these prospects, when they get on calls. So I like to make it crystal clear, right? When I'm coming here and I'm on a strategy call, I make it crystal clear. Like, look, my purpose of this call isn't to sell you. It's just to give you value for the next 45 minutes. And at the end, I will go ahead and probably say, hey, if you like what you're hearing and we want to work together, I'll offer it. But it's not sales or anything like that. Okay. But then in the same sense, when I'm in the intro of this too, I'll make it crystal clear. Like, hey, I just want to be fully transparent with you. Like, the intention of today's call is for me to get to know you and your business and to give you all of the information that you need to go ahead and move forward and actually purchase this program. I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to hard do anything like that. The biggest thing is, though, is that obviously this is my intention, is I want to go ahead and work with you. Otherwise I wouldn't be on the call. So I just want to make that crystal clear. I'm going to get to know your business a little bit more. I'm going to give you all the information. At the end, I'm most likely going to go ahead and ask you if it's a good fit to go ahead and work forward with us. Okay. Awesome. And the beautiful part behind that second one, and the person who taught me that one is a mentor of mine. He's done over $600 million worth of coaching sales. He's been doing it for 40 plus years. And the beautiful part behind it, and what he was explaining to me, and what I've even noticed is implementing it, it takes the pressure off of the person. They don't feel like, oh, when's the pitch coming? When are they going to sell me? They know it. It's like, look, I'm here to go ahead and sell you. I'm here to go ahead and guide you and give you all the information. So you go ahead and get started with me. And so when you go ahead and you lead it like that, the pressure comes off, and now you can just have a genuine conversation back and forth between you and the person. So that is part one. Moving into part number two, fact finding. Same sort of thing as we spoke about when it comes to the appointment setting section, except we're just going to dive a little bit deeper. And one thing that's really important to remember, okay, you want to understand, where are they now? Where do they want to be? And then why haven't they gotten there? And ultimately, there is this great, I actually might even pull it up. Oh, do I pull it up? I'm gonna pull it up. Why not? I think it's a cool little exercise that we'll go ahead and do. You're gonna have to give me 1 minute because I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a video, but it's essentially a video here that I want to go ahead and show you guys. I'm gonna need to get this thing right here. There, moonwalking awareness. Okay. So this right here, I'm not sharing it yet. Cool. Share. So this is a video. I just want you guys to go ahead and pay attention to it, okay? It's going to go ahead and give you everything they need.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Okay, so the reason I share this with you guys, and also, by the way, drop in the chat, have you guys ever seen this before? This advertisement or anything like that? Just let me know in the chat. No? So the really cool thing, and the reason why I wanted to show it to you, is because if you do not understand what you're looking for, it's very hard to go ahead and see it, right? Same exact thing. There's literally a moonwalking bear that went in the middle of exactly what you were watching, but you didn't notice it because you weren't looking for it. So the reason people buy things is to solve a problem. So within this fact-finding section, if it is not explicitly clear the problem that this person is facing, the probability that they actually go ahead and move forward with you at the end, especially us coaches, as we're looking to most likely sell high ticket. If it is not explicitly clear to the person, the odds that they actually move forward with you drop dramatically. So inside of this fact-finding section, not only are you wanting to understand where are they now, where do they want to be, and why haven't they gotten there, you need to make it explicitly clear. What are the things that have been holding them back from being successful? Why have they not gotten there? And this is also something I'm going to talk about when it comes to the foundations. I want you guys to remember this quote. If I tell you something, you think that I'm lying. Automatically. You want to protect yourself. If you say it, though, it's the truth. Let me give it to you one more time. If I tell you something, you think I'm lying. If you say it yourself, it is the truth. Now, why am I bringing this up as we're talking about fact-finding section? Because we talked about two things, okay? Number one, we talked about problem awareness. That's number one. Number two, we talked about the fact that I can't just tell you something. You need to go ahead and state it. Because if I say, oh my goodness, this is the best program, it's exactly what you're looking for, I know your problems, and this is exactly what you need. I might be 100% right. And you might in the back of your head be like, yeah, you're kind of right. But the thing is, what's going to happen? You're going to put your wall up. You're like, no, like, I don't like being sold. I don't want this. Like, no, like, I'm not sure. And there's going to be this immediate hesitation versus if you go ahead and you ask questions and you're just guiding them into the fact like, oh, so tell me, like, you're currently $10,000 a month. You're a stock trading coach. I'm going to use this example. You're a stock trading coach. You're currently $10,000 a month. You want to get $50,000 a month. Like, why haven't you gotten them? Okay, so you're saying the sales piece. Tell me a little bit more. Like, how many leads are you generating? You start really getting into potatoes and really understand, like, is this actually the true problem? And then you're going to go ahead and dive even deeper. Okay, so like, what about the sales piece? So anyway, coming back into it, one of the most important things that we're needing to understand is the problem awareness. And number two, they need to say it. So unless you get them problem aware, the probability they close is very low. And that's one of the biggest things that you're wanting to go ahead and do inside of the fact finding section. You want to make it crystal clear what are the biggest things that they need to go ahead and overcome to get to their goal. So, and the way that I like to envision is like almost like a checklist, okay, or a roadmap. I'll continue to use the sales coach or the stock trading coach example, okay? Sales, but what about sales? Okay, doesn't understand how to go ahead and build a sales team. Okay, doesn't have a clear sales process. Okay, doesn't understand how to go ahead and objection handle. Okay, and not only am I going to go ahead and take the things that I know in my head is going to go ahead and hold them back from being successful, I also need to take the things that they believe. Because remember, people buy things to solve a problem. And ultimately, if they believe their problem to be X, Y, and Z, then I'm not going to go ahead and try to tell them, no, you're wrong, it's A, B, C. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and seek to help them and give them insight, yes. But my biggest thing is that I'm here to go ahead and guide the person. And so, and X, Y, and Z is definitely probably still a part of it. It might not be the most important thing. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to get this understanding. I'm going to know very clearly, okay, so if I go ahead, and this is what I'm going to do, because this is going to be the end part of the fact finding section, you need to go ahead and do a if I could, would you statement. Same exact thing as we did at the end of the appointment setting section, okay? So we've identified where are they now, where do they want to be, and why haven't they gotten there? That is the most important thing that you need to do here. You need to get what are the biggest things, the biggest roadblocks holding them from achieving their goal. And then at the end, you're going to go and say, hey, so obviously, I know your goal is, want to hit $50,000 a month. And tell me if I'm wrong, the biggest things that you're really looking to, that you feel are holding you back from doing that is understanding how to build a sales team, having a clearly defined sales process, and being able to overcome objections, right? Okay, got it. So Jeff, stock trading coach. If I could go ahead and give you a step-by-step process to building a sales team, having a clear process and understanding how to overcome objections so you can get to this target of $50,000 a month. If I give you everything and you really believe that I could get you there and it made sense for you financially, is that something that at the end of this call, you would be willing to go ahead and actually get started with me today? Right. And that's what we want to go ahead and do, because now people naturally, we have to remember the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. People are not where they want to be because they are lacking something, whether it be they don't understand what to do. Maybe they don't understand that, maybe they just don't have the accountability or the discipline to continue actually showing up and doing the right actions, even though they know what they need to do, or they just haven't been doing it for a long enough time. That is an option, but typically it's one of these two. If somebody could have got there themselves, they would have typically already done it. So the reason why we are doing this is because if we're looking at this of, we know that we can really help the person get from where they are now to where they want to be, then on that, we want to stack as many things in our favor to increase the probability of us actually getting them there. Because ultimately, look, yes, of course I can help people, and inside the school community, I seek to provide as much value as possible. There's only so much that I can give though. If I work directly with a person, oh, we're getting on calls, we're doing this, we're doing that, I know that I can go ahead and help them so much more when we work together on it. So that's the sort of thing I'm going to talk about this as we get later on into the sales foundations. Ultimately though, getting a commitment up front from them that, hey, if it met all this criteria, would you be willing to get started? It makes it massive, because then at the end, if they try to waffle out on you like, oh, I don't know, that's not the case. They either lied to you, right? Which you can typically go ahead and tell when people lie to you, number one, or they're just scared. And that's a normal part of the process. And that's something that you assure people, look, tell me if I'm wrong. In the beginning, you told me, look, if we can get a sales team, we can get a sales process and objection handling, that is there. And you agreed with me along the way that we're able to do that, right? Okay, got it. So as of right now, it just sounds like there's just a part that's, it's just a little scary to go ahead and make that jump. Is that fair to say? Okay, got it. And I don't want to go too much because we're going to talk about this more, but getting the if I could with you is massive in the beginning. Okay. Before we actually get into the presentation, okay? So we've gone over intro, we've gone over fact finding. We're now going to jump into the presentation section, okay? So once again, the presentation section, I want you guys to remember that quote I told you. If I tell you something, you think I'm lying. If you say it yourself, it's true. And once again, problem awareness is one of the most important things that you need to go ahead and keep at the forefront of your mind. So as you're doing this, you need to remember the three things, or however many it is, these are the things that I need to go ahead and tell the person on to go ahead and get them to buy my product. Cool. You're going to have the same process that you go over and over and over again, but these are the things that you really need to go ahead and focus on. So as we're coming on in the presentation, typically I'll start off with some sort of social proof, okay, about me, client results, anything like that. Then what we go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and give them an overview of the program.
of like, hey, here's what it looks like. And then you start kind of diving into the details or in the back end of the program, okay? So back end / program. And then you want to end with case studies. Okay. So social proof, just to go ahead and make it seem more real to them. Okay. You're going to go ahead and give a little bit background of yourself. You're going to do all these different things. You're going to give them a high level overview. What is the program? Everything like that. And then also, what are some of the details of the program? Now, for the sake of time, I can't go into every single minute detail of exactly what's going to go ahead and be in the program, in the presentation itself. When it comes to the program and the detailed aspect of it, if you do want more, go ahead and let me know, whether it be by dropping a post in the school community or messaging me or someone from the team. I'm more than happy to make more content on it. But just for the fact that we're kind of getting close on time here, I want to make sure I still cover everything. So social proof, you give an overview, you go into details, and then you go ahead and do case studies before you then go ahead and transition into the test, close, and close. Now, as we're doing this, remember, these are the 3 things that we need to go ahead and get the person to agree with for them to buy from us. So it's going to be the same exact program. It's the same exact details of everything, same exact overview. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tailor it to what they are looking for. Okay, you're looking to go ahead and get an understanding of how to build a sales team. Awesome. So in this section right here, I literally have an entire framework. Here's a hiring funnel. Here's the scripts that we go ahead and give you. Here's all that stuff. Awesome. Also in this section right here, I have an entire part where I go ahead and explain about overcoming objections. We actually have a weekly call. We're going to go over X, Y, and Z to help you do blah, 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 whatever it is. And what you're going to do, remember, problem awareness. People buy things to solve a problem. They don't understand what their problem is, and they have it at the forefront of their mind. It's there. Just like the same thing about the moonwalking bear. So as we're coming across this, before we go ahead and show them the thing that's going to go ahead and solve 1, 2, or 3, we're going to talk about, hey, I know one of the biggest things that you talked about before was understanding how to build a sales team. That's one of the biggest roadblocks for you, right? Okay, awesome. Check this out, right? Because I'm not telling them what this is a solution to their problem. I'm saying I'm bringing problem awareness. I'm going to give them proof that it's going to go ahead and do that. And then at the end, I'm going to ask them, hey, do you feel by having this, it could solve your problem and help you overcome this roadblock to be successful and actually get you to 50K a month? This one part of it. Yes. Awesome. And now what I'm doing from there is I'm coming here, I'm checking the box off. I'm good. They gave me agreement. I didn't say it myself. They said it. They agreed, right? And they told me, remember, if I go ahead and I solve 1, 2, and 3 thing right here, then they're going to go ahead and move forward with me. It's as simple as that, guys. Okay. So we're going to do the same exact thing for all of the problems. We're going to go ahead and wrap up with case studies. Ideally, the case studies, you want to have it be as similar to the situation and demographic as a person as possible. What do I mean by that? If I'm with a stock trading coach, ideally, so a stock trading coach. If you're going ahead and selling, let's say, nutrition or just understanding all that stuff, you want to get someone as close to the person as possible, not only in regards to the situation, but also demographically. If I'm talking this, and some people are like, oh, why would you ever say that? It's the truth, though. If I'm talking to a white person that is 50 years old, I'm going to try to find something as close to 50 and white as I can, right? Obviously, yes, it's okay. If, for example, let's say it's 50 and black. Okay, it's similar. They're going through a similar situation. That's fine. But you have to remember, the purpose of having case studies and proof is to go ahead and make it so that the person could feel like, oh my goodness, I could actually get there. This person did it. If they did it, I can do it. So the more similar you have the person when it comes to situation, when it comes to demographics, when it comes to where they're from. Because let's say, for example, this person is from Southern California. I'm going to go try to find someone that is from Southern California. There's obviously the different levels. First, we have the situation. Then we have the person looks. Then we also have the location demographic too, because these are the things that you're needing to do to go ahead and start building the trust of like, oh my goodness, if this person did it, then I could go ahead and do it. So that's the last part that you're going to go ahead and do in the presentation. Also as well, Caitlin, nice to go ahead and have you here. If you have any sort of questions, feel free to pop your mic on or go ahead and drop something in the chat. So this is the end part of the presentation. Once we go ahead and finish the presentation, remember what we then do is, and by the way, I want to also touch upon this. I like to use the word presentation rather than demonstration. And the reason why I like this is because I don't see it as just I'm demonstrating. Okay. A demonstration is, oh, here's an iPhone. You press this button right here and it turns on. You press this button, the volume turns up. Yeah, it's somewhat helpful, but I think about when I'm showing this person, I'm thinking I'm on stage, right? I'm going through and I'm so precise in my language. I'm precise in the things that I'm showing them. So when I just with the wording change it ever so slightly from demonstration to presentation, it changed inside of my head to how I act. So that's the biggest thing too that I like to call it a presentation. So I'm not just showing someone. I'm presenting. There's a bit of showmanship to this, okay? So that is part 3. As we move into part 4, before you go for the close, because I can tell you guys this much, handling objections before the close is so much easier than it is handling it after the close. Because before you're just going through things versus when it's an actual objection, you have to go overcome all these different things. Okay? So what we do is before we transition from the presentation into the close, we literally just dip our toe in the water. That's what I want you to think about it. And it's nothing crazy. It is something so simple as you finish the case studies and the presentation, everything like that. And you just ask like, hey, how's everything sounding so far? Right? And based on what they say, you're going to either get, yeah, it sounds pretty good. If they say that, you know they're not sold on, you know they're not really excited. If someone's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like this is exactly what I'm looking for. Then you know the person's on, we got them. Okay. So and then at that point you transition into the close. If a person gives you a little whiff waffle, whatever it is, then it's like, oh, okay, no, I'm not going to go in the close yet. Let's go ahead and circle back to go ahead and make sure that we covered what are the main things that they need to overcome in order to get where they want to be in their head, to get them comfortable with actually moving forward with me and my team and stuff like that. Okay. So that is part 4. Once we've gotten a positive response from the test close, we then move into the close, and it is very simple. The way I typically like to run it is obviously we're doing high ticket. I like to put it inside of an agreement or a contract, you could call it too. I like to call it agreement. Agreement is a softer and nicer, less salesy term. And essentially what I go ahead and I do is I just go through the value stack. Okay, you're going to get this, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get this. And the whole point right here is I want you to imagine that you have a snowball that for majority of this sales call, the sales demo, you've been pushing it up the hill. Now as we're getting into the test close, right, we're doing the presentation. It's now reached the top of the hill and it's slowly going down and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger. And now we're in the test close, boom, boom, boom. And then now we're in the close. And now you have this gigantic snowball momentum of the person's like, yeah, this is awesome. I like it. I went ahead. I got some social from the beginning. I got it. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is exactly what I need. Oh my goodness. Judy did it. And Judy's exactly like me. Oh my, I can do this. And then you're going to go and get the test close and you're going to get the, oh my, yes, this is awesome. And then you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to come into the close. We're going to be like, look, you're going to get this and this and this and all of these different things. And then what you're going to go ahead and do after you've done this section right here of your value stack. And the value stack, by the way, would look like, hey, so just to kind of recap everything, because I know we've been talking a bunch about stuff. You're going to go ahead and get the proven step-by-step process that, you know, obviously I showed you, Judy, Jeff, Jimmy, all of these people follow to get from where they are very similar to you, $10,000 a month to $50,000 a month. Okay. It's the proven step-by-step process. And on top of that, you're also going to get an assigned coach to make sure that you keep accountable, that you do the right things and get any sort of questions you have answered. On top of that too, you're also going to have a certification. You're going to do this, and then you have this, and then this, and this. And ideally you want to keep it somewhat quick in this because you want to keep that momentum. And then once you've gone through this value stack at the end, you want to be like, look, this is a bunch of stuff. What am I trying to tell you with this? What I'm trying to tell you is that this goal of $50,000 a month, like you saw what Judy did, you saw what Jimmy did, you saw what Billy did, and you even said it yourself too. All these things that you feel are holding you back, we can go ahead and help get you there. And this is the only time, because remember I told you throughout this entire process, don't tell the person. This is the one time where actually we'll tell the person, look, we both know this is exactly what you're looking for, and that we can go ahead and help get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So with that said, let's go ahead, let's get rock and rolling so we can go ahead and get you to the $50,000 a month mark that you're looking for. To go ahead and get started, it's going to come out to a total of $10,000. Are you ready to go ahead and get rock and rolling with us? Or however you want to say in the last closing line, that's whatever it is. Okay, so you have the value stack, which is this right here. And then once you've done the value stack, you're going to go ahead and you're going to make a big claim to the person. And then you're actually going to go for the close. Okay, it is going to sound so ridiculous, guys. There are so many coaches out there. They literally don't ask for the close. They're like, yeah, so it's going to be $10,000. Let me just sit there. It's quiet. Guys, like go for the close. Like I say, are you ready to go ahead and get started? Hey, it's going to be debit or credit. And you have all these different ways to go ahead and close, but that's one of the biggest things. Actually go for the close. So as you guys can tell, I get a little excited. I get passionate about these things, and I'm sure I could talk for hours more about all this stuff. And I know that we have 12 more minutes before I have another call that I have to hop to. So I want to go ahead and make sure that we kind of recap everything. Okay. So we've talked about a lot of different things. Okay. To just kind of overall today, we want to talk about the sales process. We just finished that. Okay. Do this to sell more. Most likely, we're not going to go ahead and get a breakdown of specific businesses just for the fact of time today. If you guys are liking this stuff, first of all, you can go ahead and drop a 1 or a yes in the chat, number 1. But then number 2, this will be the most helpful. Also, go ahead inside of school, make a post. Let me know that you like it, because this is stuff that we can do more of if this is a direction that you guys want to get more understanding onto. So let's go. Let's talk about do this to sell more. Okay. Before we transition there, I want to recap one more time. What is the sales process? Okay. Process is just look, how do we have a proven system that we can do over and over and over again to make sure that we get some sort of outcome? If we're looking to bake a cake, there's a certain ingredients and steps that we have to take. Same exact thing if we're looking to go ahead and close high ticket deals. It is not as complicated as it may come to see as I share a complicated little graph. Okay. But basically what it is, okay. Step number one, we go ahead and we generate a lead. Okay, and I'm actually gonna come down here because I have a nicer one. Okay. Step number one, we go ahead and we generate a lead. Then what happens there? We get them either on a phone call by calling them directly or by messaging them and offering to get them on a free strategy call. Cool. Once that's done, we then get them on a demo and sales call. Amazing. Okay. Step one, step two, step three. Cool. Now, what's the process that we do when we actually get them on the demo sales call? We talked about it. Step one, intro. Step two, fact find. Step three, presentation. Step four, test close. Step five, close. And at the close part, we go ahead and we collect the money. Now, as we talked about all these different things, we now have our proven step-by-step sales process that we got, okay? Now, what are the most important things that you need to do in order to sell more? For anybody that went ahead and joined us late, one thing that I talked about in the beginning, and I don't say this, oftentimes I don't like doing it, but I think that it provides validity because one of the most important things that I always keep in my mind, hello, by the way, Eric, nice to see you, is to stand guard at the gate of your mind, right? And you need to be very careful about who you take information from. So this is the reason why I share with you. The majority of my experience came from running a sales coaching offer. And during this time period, I ran the delivery and operations for this business, and we taught over 4,000 salespeople. And from working with these 4,000 salespeople, you get a lot of understanding of, okay, what things work really well with people, what things don't work well with people. Not only in the fact of like, okay, let's learn all these tactics, but also in the fact, like, if I only need to give you 5 things that are the most important things that I could give you in the next 10 minutes, probably more like 5. How can you go ahead and do that? So when I'm working with clients, the biggest thing I say is, look, of course I can have you learn all these word tracks and everything there, but I want to give you the most pivotal and influential and highest leverage things that you can do and actually to get more sales in your business. Okay. And so this is what it is. Okay. So we're going to go and call this sales foundations. Okay. So the most important things that you can go ahead and do, okay? One of the first ones, and it's not necessarily in a specific order, but these are the most important things, okay? Number one, conviction. Guys, when you go ahead, and like you could even see me right now, if you haven't been here for the entire time, you can tell I'm excited about this stuff. I love talking about all these different things. And so when you're here and you go ahead and believe it, I could be giving you absolute garbage, absolute BS right now. And it could be wrong, but there's a part of you that wants to go ahead and believe me just in the way that I'm telling it to you and the conviction that I have as I'm telling you. So when you know that you can genuinely help someone get from where they are now to where they want to be, and you know, like, look, I want you to almost imagine, and this is the way I go ahead and describe it, that a person is in a burning building. And you know that the probability that they're able to go fix it themselves is very low. That's the reason why you are here to go ahead and have the conversation with them to guide them to where they want to be. And you need to have the conviction and understanding that you're going to go ahead and help them. And even though, yes, they're going to go ahead and give you 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, $100,000, however much it is, that they are better off giving you the money so you can go ahead and get them a result. And you need to be sold on that. Okay. That's one of the most important things. Okay. Number 2, I kind of touched upon it before. Okay. You genuinely need to care. Especially today, there's a lot of coaches out there, and that's, I've shared it many times. The reason why I made this, there are a lot of coaches out there that I don't want to say it's malicious intent, whatever, but I will just say this much, just from facts alone, the success rate of these coaches is very low. And they don't necessarily continue to provide accountability and make sure that people really get the results on it. And that's why I made the coaching mastermind community, because to me, it breaks my heart. And to me, it's so much more than just, okay, like a business. I see this as my God-given purpose to go ahead and help experts, people that have a lot of knowledge, go ahead and pass that knowledge to other people. And so within that, it's not like I'm just looking to go ahead and have people just fall off the side of the road. And that's one of the most core principles that you need to also keep in mind when you're going ahead and doing sales, because when you genuinely care about a person, not in the fact of just taking their money, not in the fact of whatever, when you're like, look, I really want to help you, and you have that conviction of, look, I know I can help you. People can read through it. So when you are just like, you're coming in like, look, I don't, this is actually what I would do in the very beginning when I first started doing sales for coaches and everything. People would ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I got the best job ever. I get on calls from people all over the world. I talk to them, I get to know them, and I help get them to where they want to be. I help them overcome those things that are holding them back, and I help them achieve their dreams. And so when you're going, you're doing sales, having that same sort of mentality is massive. because people can read through it. They can get that understanding. Oh, this person genuinely cares for me. And therefore they're going to trust you to actually go ahead and get your business. Okay. So these are real. This might sound crazy. These are some of the most core tenets that you need to go ahead and understand. Care and having conviction, because when you're able to go ahead and do these two, I know this might sound ridiculous because, okay, like, yeah, Chris, it's not groundbreaking. I understand that. But you could go ahead and mess up on some of the sales stuff. You could have a bunch of filler words. You could do a lot of things wrong. But when you have these two things, when you have care and when you have conviction, people go ahead and close. I'm just telling you this much. So within that, I know that I have another about 5 minutes before I have to go ahead and hop onto a call. I could go ahead and talk more about kind of do this to sell more and everything like that, about sales specifics and everything there. And unfortunately, we're not going to have enough time to go ahead and do a breakdown. It's not going to do justice to try to cram somebody's business in 2 minutes. First of all, do me a favor, because I know that there's a couple of you guys here that are in the background that are listening, everything like that. Any sort of questions, this is helpful, you guys, whether you want to drop it in the chat, whether you want to go ahead and turn on your mic and explain something. First of all, is this helpful? And do you guys have any sort of questions for me based on what we've been talking about thus far? And don't be shy. Okay, I got one in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up. Let's see, who dropped a little message in the chat for me? Let's see. Helpful, yes. Okay, awesome. So we have another 4 minutes before I do need to bounce on to another call. Is there anything else that you guys would like me to discuss? Anything else that you guys would like me to answer before I go ahead and get things wrapped up here? Okay, chat. My bottleneck is getting calls at the moment. Okay, Caitlin, we can go ahead and go via chat if you prefer. Better option would be if you could unmute yourself, just so we're on a limited time. When you say getting calls, do you mean in the fact of generating leads that you can then turn into calls, or do you mean like you're getting a bunch of leads and they're just not converting into calls?
Hey, Chris. I guess both. I think I don't have a solid process to turn leads into calls. Some of my current funnel is that I also do team workshops and public speaking.
Okay.
As well as just regular content, no paid ads and no setter at this time.
Okay. How many leads on average per week are you generating?
Like under 5.
Okay. That's the answer right there. One thing, and if you're not comfortable answering this, that's fine. It just based on this, I'll kind of give you better direction. How much are you doing on average per month right now in regards to revenue? If you're not comfortable, let me know, and I'll just give you kind of blanket advice.
Yeah, my minimum is around 3 to 4K and upward of 20 to 25K.
Okay. I would highly recommend that you start running paid ads. And the reason why is because the beautiful part behind paid ads is that there's a lot of consistency in your business. I spend $100, it costs me $10 a lead. So therefore, if I spend $100, I'm going to go ahead and get 10 leads. Cool, right? And on top of that too, if you're able to acquire, and this is where you can really get predictability in your business, because then you say, okay, cool. If it takes me, let's say out of 100 people that I get as a lead, I'm going to go ahead and get, I'll even just kind of go soft numbers. Okay. Let's say 30 people, or maybe even I'll even go really low. Okay. Let's say 15 people on a call. Okay. I get 15 people actually like to answer the phone on it. Okay, cool. Of these 15 people, I'm going to go ahead when I say this, I mean like a phone call. And then when I actually get on a sales call, let's say half of those people are like, okay, yeah, I'm actually willing to go ahead and actually have a conversation with you. Awesome. And then let's say you actually close 2 of these people. Okay. So now you just reverse engineer the math. Okay. If you're looking to go ahead and get 100 leads at $10 a lead, you're looking at $1,000. Okay. Now you go ahead and you do that. Let's say you close. What's your ticket price?
I have a couple packages anywhere from 36 to 4,500.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's say 4K, just to make it easy and be quick on time. Okay, so 4K. If you went ahead and spent $1,000, you got 100 leads, 15 of them you actually connected with on the phone. You got 7 of them to agree using this framework. I don't know if you were here on the early stages. You can go back and watch the recording. But you get 7 of them on the call. You close 2 of them at 4K a pop. That is $8,000. You spent 1K and you turned it into 8. I don't know about you. If there was a machine out there that I could put $1,000 and get 8,000 back, I'd give as much money as I can all the time, right? And so that's the beauty behind paid ads and why I so highly recommend it. Now, let's even say this is even worse statistics, okay? Let's say you only get 5 people on the phone, okay? And then you only go ahead and you got 2 of them to go ahead and get on a call with you. Or let's say even 3 of them to get on a call with you, and then you go ahead and you only convert 1 of them. Cool. You're still at a $1,000 to $4,000 win, right? And so ultimately that would be one of the biggest things that I recommend for you is I don't think as much of you have as much of like a sales and calls problem. It sounds like to me, you have more of like, I'm not generating enough leads. Organic is great to go ahead and nurture. And also I've had clients I've worked with that they generate a ton of leads organic. The only hard part is it can be very inconsistent and there's not as much predictability and allowing you to really grow your business. So based on what you shared with me in these 2 minutes, I would recommend going and starting to run paid ads for your business, get them in, use some sort of lead magnet. I like school because it nurtures people. It does all of that stuff. And then you can go ahead and really start building a predictable business that you can turn 1,000 into 4,000, 8,000, whatever it is. For anybody, if this is your very first time, we go ahead and we hop on. Nice seeing you, Eric. We go ahead and we hop on here every single week, share tips and everything that you can use in order to grow your coaching business. One thing that I would like to go ahead and ask from you guys, long story short though, knowledge is useless unless it's applied. And on top of that too, when it comes to understanding, I'm really big on neuroscience, understanding how to learn, how to get people to actually understand information. The best way that you can actually go ahead and understand it for yourself is actually by teaching others, by putting it out there. So what I would ask of you guys, if you really want to go ahead and master this as much as you can, take something that you learned from this call right now and just post it in the school. I don't need it to be anything crazy. Just be like, hey, I learned this. Here's what I'm going to implement and all of that. And even it helps with accountability. Okay, I'm going to do this. I want to do that, whatever it is. So that's step number 1 that I go ahead and recommend for you guys if you're looking to really master this information. Step number 2, if there's something specific that you want me to cover, go ahead and drop it in the school community. I'm more than happy to break it down. If it's leads, if it's actually converting those leads into on calls, is it actually selling those people when you're getting on calls, your not close rate isn't good enough? Let me know. I'm more than happy to hop on. I do need to run because I have another call. Regardless, it was great having all of you guys here. I look forward to interacting with you guys more on these calls and also inside the community. And we'll go ahead and we'll talk very soon. Okay. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Hey guys, I wanted to tell you that you are the true coaches and the real students. You made it till the end of the video. Do me a favor, share this with a friend who wants to go to another level. Also, make sure you like the video, comment below so I know who you are, subscribe and turn on your notifications for the channel as we will be dropping more valuable content every single day. See you soon.